It was the summer of 2015, a time when life seemed to flow like an easy river for Jeremy Collins. A 35-year-old architect, Jeremy lived in a picturesque suburb just outside Chicago. His wife, Mia, was 32 and worked as a freelance graphic designer. Together, they had built a seemingly perfect life. A cozy 2-story home with a garden, 2 lovable dogs, and plans to start a family soon. Jeremy loved his wife deeply, and he was convinced Mia felt the same. But as they say, appearances can be deceiving. Jeremy's weekdays were structured but fulfilling. His job often kept him busy, with demanding clients and tight deadlines. Even so, he made it a priority to come home by 6 p.m., eager to share dinner with Mia and talk about their day. Mia worked from home, allowing her a more flexible schedule, but she often mentioned how the solitude made her miss the social interactions of a traditional office. To anyone observing from the outside, Mia was the epitome of a supportive spouse. She'd pack Jeremy's lunch, surprise him with heartfelt notes, and plan romantic weekend getaways. It was hard to imagine anything could disrupt their life together. But cracks, as Jeremy would later realize, had started to form beneath the surface long before he noticed. One evening, after a particularly long day at work, Jeremy walked into the house to find Mia laughing at her phone. Her laughter stopped abruptly when she noticed him. He didn't think much of it at the time, chalking it up to a funny meme or video. But looking back, that moment would take on a whole new meaning. Mia had always been outgoing, the kind of person who could strike up a conversation with anyone. It was one of the things Jeremy loved about her, but it also meant she was active on social media, often exchanging messages with friends and acquaintances. Over time, Jeremy started to notice small changes in her behavior. Her phone was always on silent. She'd angle the screen away when he walked by, and there were nights when she stayed up late under the guise of work. Jeremy wasn't the type to jump to conclusions. He prided himself on being trusting, and Mia had never given him a reason not to be. Yet, those little signs nagged at him, planting seeds of doubt he couldn't ignore. The first significant event that truly caught Jeremy's attention happened about 2 months later. Mia had planned a girls' night out with her friends, a regular occurrence that Jeremy fully supported. He even encouraged her to take time for herself, knowing how hard she worked. But that night, when Mia returned home, she seemed distracted. "Did you have fun?" Jeremy asked as she kicked off her heels. "Yeah, it was nice," she replied with a half-hearted smile. Something about her tone didn't sit right. Mia was usually bubbly and eager to share the details of her outings. This time, her responses were curt, almost guarded. Jeremy decided not to press her, but the feeling of unease lingered. A week later, while doing laundry, Jeremy noticed a faint cologne scent on one of Mia's blouses. A scent he didn't recognize. He tried to rationalize it. Maybe one of her friends hugged her, or maybe it was from being in a crowded bar. But deep down, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. In an attempt to ease his mind, Jeremy convinced himself to focus on their upcoming anniversary. Their 5-year milestone was just around the corner, and he wanted it to be special. He made reservations at their favorite restaurant, ordered flowers, and even arranged for a short weekend getaway. Mia seemed genuinely excited about the plans. She gushed about how thoughtful he was and even helped pack their bags for the trip. For a brief moment, Jeremy felt reassured. Whatever doubts he had were overshadowed by the joy of celebrating their relationship. But the weekend didn't go as smoothly as Jeremy had hoped. On the first night of their getaway, Mia's phone buzzed repeatedly during dinner. She apologized, claiming it was a work client, and excused herself to take the call. Jeremy sat alone at the table, swirling his wine and staring at her empty seat. When Mia returned, her demeanor had shifted. She seemed distant, distracted, and eager to end the evening early. Jeremy couldn't ignore the sinking feeling in his gut. "Is everything okay?" he asked as they walked back to their hotel room. "Yeah, just tired," she replied, avoiding eye contact. The next morning, Jeremy woke up to find Mia sitting on the balcony, her phone in hand. She didn't notice him watching, but her expression was one of intense focus. He couldn't hear what she was typing, but the rapid tapping of her fingers made it clear it wasn't a casual scroll. Jeremy didn't say anything at the time, but his mind raced with possibilities. Was he imagining things? Or was there really something going on? By the time they returned home, the doubts had become too loud to ignore. Jeremy decided it was time to address his concerns. One evening, while they were having dinner, he broached the subject as delicately as he could. "Mia, can we talk about something?" he began. "Of course," she said, looking up from her plate. "I've noticed you've been a little distant lately. Is everything okay? Are you stressed about work?" Mia's expression softened, and she reached across the table to hold his hand. "I'm fine, Jeremy. I know I've been a bit preoccupied, but it's nothing serious. Just a lot on my plate with work." Her reassurance should have comforted him, but instead, it felt rehearsed. Jeremy nodded, deciding to let the conversation drop for now. But the following weeks only heightened his suspicions. Mia's late nights became more frequent, and her excuses more implausible. Jeremy didn't want to jump to conclusions, but he knew he couldn't keep ignoring the signs. And so, one quiet Sunday afternoon, while Mia was out running errands, Jeremy did something he never thought he'd do. He checked her phone. What he found would change everything. Jeremy stared at Mia's phone, his heart pounding in his chest. He hated the thought of invading her privacy, but his gut told him something wasn't right. The phone was password protected, but he remembered seeing her enter the code a few times. His hands shook as he punched in the digits, her birth date, and to his surprise, it unlocked. What he found confirmed his worst fears. There were messages from a contact saved as Sam. At first glance, the conversation seemed casual, but as Jeremy scrolled up, the tone shifted. The messages became more flirtatious, sprinkled with inside jokes and emojis that hinted at a deeper connection. Jeremy's stomach churned as he read one particular message. "Can't wait to see you again. Last night was amazing. Red heart." It felt like the ground had been pulled out from under him. Jeremy sat back, his mind racing. Who was Sam? Was it someone from Mia's social circle? Or worse, someone she had reconnected with from her past? He continued scrolling, trying to piece together the timeline. The messages dated back several months, coinciding with when Mia's behavior had started to change. He found photos too, selfies of Mia smiling in ways she hadn't for him in a long time, paired with cryptic captions like, "Can't wait to share this with you." Jeremy felt a surge of anger, betrayal, and heartbreak. How could she do this to him? Their life together wasn't perfect, but he had always believed their love was strong enough to weather any storm. Determined to confront her, Jeremy put the phone back exactly where he found it and waited for Mia to return. But as the minutes ticked by, his initial fury gave way to doubt. Should he really confront her without knowing the full story? What if there was an explanation, however slim that chance might be? When Mia finally walked through the door, smiling and carrying groceries, Jeremy forced himself to act normal. He couldn't let her see the turmoil brewing inside him. Not yet. Over the next few days, Jeremy became an investigator in his own home. He started paying closer attention to Mia's habits and excuses. When she said she was meeting friends, he discreetly checked her location through the GPS tracker they had installed on their phones for safety. More often than not, her location didn't match her story. One Friday evening, when Mia claimed she was having dinner with her best friend, Jeremy decided to follow her. He parked a few blocks away from the restaurant she mentioned and waited, but Mia never showed up. Instead, her GPS location indicated she was at a trendy downtown bar. Jeremy walked into the bar, scanning the crowd. That's when he saw her, sitting at a table with a man he didn't recognize. The man was tall, well-dressed, and clearly comfortable with Mia. She laughed at something he said, leaning in just a little too close. It was Sam. Jeremy was certain of it. His first instinct was to march over and confront them, but he stopped himself. Causing a scene wouldn't solve anything. Instead, he took out his phone and snapped a picture of the two of them together. Then he walked out, his hands trembling as he gripped the steering wheel on the drive home. That night, Jeremy barely slept. He replayed the scene at the bar in his mind, feeling a mix of anger and sadness. He wanted to believe there was some logical explanation, but deep down, he knew the truth. The next morning, he decided it was time to gather evidence. He wasn't proud of it, but he needed proof, not just for himself, but in case things escalated to a point where he needed to protect his interests in the marriage. He contacted a private investigator, explaining the situation and handing over the photo he had taken. The investigator, a seasoned professional named Lisa, assured Jeremy she'd get to the bottom of it. "I've seen this before," she said with a sympathetic smile. "It's tough, but you're doing the right thing by getting the facts first." Over the next 2 weeks, Lisa provided Jeremy with updates. She tracked Mia's movements, noting several instances where she met up with Sam. They went to secluded parks, intimate restaurants, and even a hotel one afternoon. Lisa provided photos and timestamps, each piece of evidence driving the dagger deeper into Jeremy's heart. When Lisa handed Jeremy the final report, she looked at him with concern. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "It's clear she's been unfaithful. The decision on what to do next is yours." Jeremy thanked her, though the words felt hollow. He spent hours staring at the evidence, his mind a whirlwind of emotions. He thought about their wedding day, the vows they had exchanged, and the life they had built together. How had it all come to this? But amid the heartbreak, Jeremy felt a growing sense of resolve. He couldn't let Mia's betrayal define him or their future. It was time to confront her and demand the truth. One evening, when Mia came home from one of her supposed work meetings, Jeremy was waiting in the living room. He had the evidence laid out on the coffee table, photos, messages, and the private investigator's report. "Mia, we need to talk," he said, his voice calm but firm. She froze, her eyes darting to the table. "What's all this?" she asked, feigning ignorance. "You tell me," Jeremy replied, gesturing to the evidence. Mia's face turned pale as she realized the depth of his knowledge. She stammered, "Jeremy, I can explain." "Don't," he interrupted. "I've seen enough. I know about Sam. I know about the hotel. I just want to hear it from you." "Why, Mia? Why did you do this?" For a moment, Mia said nothing. Then, as if a dam had burst, she began to cry. "I don't know," she sobbed. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It just happened." Jeremy felt a wave of anger rise within him. "It didn't just happen, Mia. You made a choice. Every text, every meeting, every lie, you chose this." Mia tried to reach for his hand, but he pulled away. "Jeremy, please. I still love you. I made a mistake, but it doesn't change how I feel about us." Jeremy shook his head. "You don't betray someone you love. I trusted you, Mia, and you threw it all away." The room fell silent, the weight of the moment hanging heavily between them. Jeremy knew there was no going back. Before we continue, take a moment to reflect. What would you do in Jeremy's shoes? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more compelling stories. Your support means the world. Jeremy stared at Mia, his heart pounding in his chest. Her confession had torn the foundation of their marriage to shreds, but it was her cavalier response that left him stunned. He had expected remorse, a heartfelt apology, but not this casual dismissal. "You don't just make a mistake, Mia," he said, his voice breaking. "You orchestrated this. Every lie, every excuse. You made me feel like I was going crazy when all along you were—" He stopped, unable to finish the sentence. Mia's tears seemed genuine, but Jeremy couldn't be sure anymore. Everything about her felt like a facade. "It's not what you think," she pleaded, her voice trembling. "Sam and we didn't mean for it to go this far." Jeremy scoffed, gesturing to the pile of evidence on the table. "So, the texts, the hotel stays, the lies, that wasn't far enough? What would you call this, Mia?" She dropped her head into her hands, her sobs filling the room. "I was lonely, Jeremy. You were always working, always preoccupied. I needed someone who saw me." Jeremy clenched his fists, fighting back the wave of anger threatening to consume him. "Don't you dare blame this on me. I worked hard for us, for our life together. If you were unhappy, you could have told me. You didn't have to betray me." Mia looked up, her eyes red and puffy. "I didn't want to hurt you," she whispered. Jeremy laughed bitterly. "Well, Congratulations, you succeeded. This is beyond hurt, Mia. You destroyed everything we built together. The room fell into an uneasy silence. Jeremy felt like he was standing on the edge of a cliff, teetering between heartbreak and fury. Finally, he stood up, the weight of the situation pressing heavily on his shoulders. I need time to think, he said, his voice cold and distant. Pack a bag and leave. I don't care where you go, but I can't look at you right now. Mia's eyes widened in panic. Jeremy, please, don't do this. Let's talk. There's nothing to talk about, he interrupted. You made your choice, Mia. Now you have to live with it. Over the next few weeks, Jeremy threw himself into work, using the long hours to distract himself from the chaos at home. He and Mia were barely speaking, their interactions limited to brief, tense exchanges. She stayed with a friend, occasionally returning to the house to pick up belongings, but each visit was a painful reminder of what they had lost. One evening, Jeremy received a call from Lisa, the private investigator. Jeremy, I know you've already seen the evidence, but there's something else you should know, she said cautiously. What is it? He asked, bracing himself for more bad news. Lisa hesitated. I've been following Sam, and it turns out you're not the only one he's deceiving. He's married. Jeremy felt a surge of disbelief. Married? Are you sure? Positive, Lisa confirmed. His wife, Emma, has no idea about the affair. I thought you might want to know, in case you wanted to reach out to her. Jeremy sat back, the revelation leaving him reeling. He hadn't considered the possibility that Sam was betraying someone else too. It added a new layer of complexity and vindication to his situation. After a restless night, Jeremy decided to contact Emma. He found her social media profile and sent a cautious message, explaining who he was and what he had discovered. To his surprise, she responded almost immediately, agreeing to meet in person. The following evening, Jeremy met Emma at a quiet cafe. She was a petite woman with kind eyes and a nervous demeanor. Thank you for meeting me, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Jeremy nodded. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but I thought you deserved to know. Emma listened intently as Jeremy laid out the evidence, her expression shifting from disbelief to devastation. When he finished, she sat silently for a moment, processing the weight of his words. I can't believe this, she said finally, her voice trembling. I knew things weren't perfect between us, but I never thought. Jeremy reached out, placing a comforting hand on hers. I know how you feel. I've been living it too. Emma looked up at him, her eyes filled with tears. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, Jeremy admitted, but I'm not going to let them get away with this. Fueled by a shared sense of betrayal, Jeremy and Emma decided to confront Mia and Sam together. They planned every detail carefully, ensuring they would catch the cheating pair in the act. The opportunity came a week later, when Lisa informed Jeremy that Mia and Sam had booked a table at a secluded restaurant. Jeremy and Emma arrived early, sitting at a corner table with a clear view of the entrance. When Mia and Sam walked in, laughing and holding hands, Jeremy felt a surge of anger. He glanced at Emma, who nodded silently. It was time. They approached the table together, their presence wiping the smiles off Mia and Sam's faces. Well, isn't this cozy? Jeremy said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Mia's face turned pale. Jeremy, what are you doing here? Enjoying the show, he replied, though I didn't expect the special guest appearance from Emma. Sam's expression darkened. Emma, I can explain. No, she interrupted, her voice steady despite the tears streaming down her face. You don't get to explain. I trusted you, and this is how you repay me. Mia reached for Jeremy's arm, but he pulled away. Don't, he said coldly. You've already done enough. The confrontation drew the attention of other diners, who whispered and stared. Embarrassed, Mia and Sam tried to leave, but Jeremy blocked their path. You don't get to walk away from this, he said. Not until you face what you've done. Emma stepped forward, her voice filled with quiet resolve. You've both destroyed lives tonight. I hope it was worth it. With that, she turned and walked out of the restaurant, leaving Mia and Sam to face the consequences of their actions. Jeremy followed shortly after, feeling a strange mix of satisfaction and sorrow. Confronting them hadn't erased the pain, but it was a step toward reclaiming his dignity. As Jeremy drove home, he reflected on the events of the past month. He had lost the woman he thought he would spend his life with, but he had also gained clarity and strength. For the first time in weeks, he felt a glimmer of hope. He pulled into his driveway and sat in the car for a moment, staring at the house that had once been his sanctuary. It would take time to rebuild his life, but he knew he could do it. Before stepping inside, he made a decision. He would let go of the anger and focus on healing. Mia's betrayal had broken his heart, but it wouldn't define him. If you've ever experienced betrayal or heartbreak, know that you're not alone. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. And if this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories like this one. Your support means everything to me. The confrontation at the restaurant had been cathartic, but Jeremy knew the battle was far from over. That night, as he lay awake in his bed, his mind raced with questions. What had driven Mia to betray him so deeply? And why had Sam, a man who seemed to have it all, risked his family for this affair? These weren't just questions of curiosity. They were vital to understanding how to move forward. Jeremy decided he needed closure, not just for himself but for the life he had built. The next day, he met with Lisa, the private investigator. "What's the next step?" he asked, his determination evident. Lisa leaned back in her chair, her expression contemplative. "It depends on what you want. Do you want to confront Mia and Sam again? Or are you ready to take legal action?" Jeremy sighed. "Legal action feels extreme, but I can't let them walk away without consequences. There has to be accountability." Lisa nodded. "I've dealt with situations like this before. Sometimes the best way to get accountability is to expose the truth to those who matter most, family, friends, even colleagues. It's not about revenge. It's about ensuring they understand the gravity of their actions." Jeremy mulled over her words. The idea of exposure felt harsh, but it also felt just. He thought of Mia's parents, who adored their daughter but had no idea of the pain she had caused. And what about Sam's wife, Emma? She deserved to know the full extent of her husband's betrayal. A week later, Jeremy and Emma coordinated their efforts. They planned a meeting with Mia's parents, hoping to shed light on the situation. Emma, who had already endured enough, agreed to join as a show of solidarity. When they arrived at the Wilsons' cozy suburban home, Mia's mother greeted them with a warm smile. "Jeremy, so good to see you. And who's this lovely lady?" Jeremy exchanged a glance with Emma before speaking. "This is Emma. We're here to talk about something important. Can we come in?" Mia's father, a stern but kind man, led them into the living room. "What's this about, Jeremy?" he asked, his voice tinged with concern. Jeremy took a deep breath. "It's about Mia and her affair with Sam." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Mia's mother gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "What? That can't be true." "It is," Emma said softly, her voice steady. "I'm Sam's wife. I've seen the evidence myself." Mia's father leaned forward, his face etched with disbelief. "Jeremy, are you sure about this?" "Mia, she's not the kind of person to." "She is," Jeremy interrupted, his voice firm but not unkind. "I didn't want to believe it either, but the proof is undeniable." He pulled out a folder containing Lisa's findings, photos, text messages, receipts. As Mia's parents sifted through the evidence, their expressions shifted from shock to sorrow. "How could she do this?" her mother whispered, tears streaming down her face. "She always seemed so happy with you, Jeremy." Jeremy's throat tightened. "I thought so too, but people can be good at hiding their true selves." Mia's father set the folder down, his hands trembling. "What do you want us to do?" "Nothing drastic," Jeremy said. "I just thought you deserved to know. Maybe you can help her understand the gravity of her actions, because right now, she doesn't seem to get it." Meanwhile, Sam wasn't faring much better. Emma had confronted him at their home, her quiet resolve more piercing than any shout could have been. "Sam," she said, standing in their kitchen, her arms crossed. "Jeremy and I spoke to Mia's parents today. They know everything." Sam paled, his usual bravado crumbling. "You did what?" "They deserve to know," Emma replied. "Just like I deserve to know. Your lies have hurt too many people, Sam. This ends now." "What are you saying?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "I'm saying I want a divorce," Emma said, her tone resolute. "You don't get to play the victim here, Sam. You made your choices, and now you have to live with them." Sam tried to argue, to justify his actions, but Emma was unmoved. She had spent too long believing in his false promises. Now she was ready to reclaim her life. For Jeremy, the weeks that followed were a whirlwind of emotions. He filed for separation, determined to start fresh. Though the process was painful, it also felt like shedding the weight of betrayal. Mia, on the other hand, was spiraling. The confrontation with her parents had shaken her. But it wasn't until Jeremy served her the separation papers that the reality of her situation truly hit. "Jeremy, please," she begged during one of their rare conversations. "Don't do this. I'll do anything to fix this." "You can't fix this, Mia," Jeremy said, his voice devoid of warmth. "Some things can't be undone." "But I love you," she insisted. Jeremy shook his head, a sad smile playing on his lips. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this." Mia's tears didn't move him. He had given her his heart, his trust, and she had shattered both. There was no going back. As the legal proceedings unfolded, Jeremy found solace in unexpected places. Friends and colleagues rallied around him, offering support and encouragement. Even Emma became a source of strength, their shared pain forging an unlikely bond. One evening, as they sat on a park bench, Emma turned to Jeremy. "Do you ever think about what life will look like after all this is over?" Jeremy stared at the horizon, the setting sun casting a golden glow. "Sometimes," he admitted, "but it's hard to imagine. Everything feels so uncertain." Emma nodded. "I get that, but I think uncertainty can be a good thing. It means we have a chance to build something new." Her words resonated with Jeremy. For the first time in weeks, he felt a flicker of hope, a belief that maybe, just maybe, he could find happiness again. The story is building to its climax, and the stakes have never been higher. What do you think will happen next? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've been following this journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Your support keeps these stories alive. The tension had reached its boiling point, and every decision now carried monumental weight. Jeremy stood at the precipice of closure, knowing the next steps would determine the rest of his life. Mia's pleas for forgiveness had become more frequent and desperate. She left voicemails and sent texts, oscillating between apologies and excuses. The guilt seemed to be eating her alive, but Jeremy wasn't moved. He had reached his limit. One day, Mia showed up at his office unannounced. Jeremy was in the middle of a meeting when his secretary walked in, her face a mixture of sympathy and concern. "Jeremy, Mia is here. She says it's urgent." Jeremy sighed. "Tell her I'm busy." "She said she won't leave until she sees you," the secretary added hesitantly. Reluctantly, Jeremy excused himself from the meeting and stepped into the lobby. Mia was sitting there, her usually polished appearance disheveled. Her eyes were red from crying, and her hands clutched a folder tightly. "What are you doing here, Mia?" Jeremy asked, his voice flat. "I need to talk to you," she said, standing abruptly. "Please, just 5 minutes." Jeremy led her to a private conference room, closing the door behind them. "You have 5 minutes," he said coldly. Mia placed the folder on the table and slid it toward him. "It's everything. All the emails, texts, and receipts. I know I messed up, Jeremy, but I want you to see the whole picture. I didn't love him. I don't even know what it was." Jeremy stared at the folder, his expression unreadable. "Why are you showing me this now? To clear your conscience?" "No," Mia said, her voice trembling. "Because I want you to know the truth. I can't fix what I've done, but I want you to see that it was a mistake. That I was weak, and I hate myself for it. Jeremy flipped through the contents of the folder, the details only reinforcing what he already knew. Mia, this doesn't change anything. You didn't just betray me, you betrayed us. You made choices that destroyed our trust, and I can't come back from that. Mia broke down, sobbing into her hands. I'll do anything, Jeremy. Therapy, counseling, whatever you want. Just don't leave me. Jeremy stood, his heart hardened. It's too late, Mia. I've already filed for divorce. This is over. Meanwhile, Emma had taken a bold step of her own. She had filed for divorce from Sam, much to his shock and dismay. Sam, who had always believed he could talk his way out of anything, found himself cornered. You can't be serious, Emma, he said during one of their final conversations. We have a family, a life together. Are you really willing to throw all that away? Emma's eyes burned with resolve. You threw it away the moment you chose to cheat on me. I've spent years building this life with you, and you tore it apart without a second thought. I deserve better, and so do our kids. Sam tried to argue, but Emma shut him down. This isn't up for debate, Sam. I'm done. You can talk to my lawyer if you have questions. As the legal proceedings unfolded for both Jeremy and Emma, the fallout of Mia and Sam's actions began to ripple outward. Friends and family took sides, some expressing disbelief while others offered support. One of the most shocking developments came when Emma discovered that Sam's affair with Mia wasn't his first. Through a mutual acquaintance, she learned that Sam had been unfaithful multiple times over the years, always with the same pattern of deceit and manipulation. Emma shared this revelation with Jeremy during one of their now frequent conversations. It's amazing how blind I was, she admitted. I always thought Sam was this great husband, this amazing father, but he was living a double life. Jeremy nodded, his own pain mirrored in hers. I think we see what we want to see. I wanted to believe Mia was my perfect partner, even when there were signs she wasn't. Their shared experiences created a bond that surprised them both. They found comfort in each other's company, whether it was discussing legal strategies or simply venting about their frustrations. The turning point came during a community event, where both Jeremy and Emma were in attendance. It was a charity gala they had both committed to long before their respective marriages fell apart. The air was heavy with tension, as Mia and Sam were also present. Jeremy spotted Mia across the room, her eyes downcast as she mingled half-heartedly with acquaintances. Sam, on the other hand, seemed determined to put on a show of confidence, laughing loudly and clinking glasses with anyone who would humor him. Emma approached Jeremy, her own gaze locked on Sam. Looks like someone's trying to save face, she said dryly. Jeremy smirked. Classic Sam. Always the life of the party, even when his world is crumbling. As the night wore on, an unexpected moment of confrontation arose. Sam, emboldened by alcohol, approached Jeremy and Emma. Well, if it isn't the dream team, he said, his tone dripping with sarcasm. Jeremy remained calm. What do you want, Sam? Sam sneered. Just wanted to see how the two of you are holding up. Must be nice. Bonding over your shared victimhood. Emma stepped forward, her voice icy. You don't get to play the victim here, Sam. You're the reason we're all in this mess. Oh, please, Sam scoffed. You act like I'm the only one to ever make a mistake. Newsflash. Nobody's perfect. Jeremy, sensing the situation escalating, placed a hand on Emma's arm. He's not worth it, he said quietly. Emma took a deep breath, her composure returning. You're right, she said, turning to Sam one last time. Enjoy your evening, Sam. I hope the attention is worth it. As they walked away, Jeremy couldn't help but admire Emma's strength. She had faced the man who had hurt her deeply and walked away with her dignity intact. The climax of this turbulent journey came in the courtroom. Both divorce cases were finalized on the same day, a fitting conclusion to the chaos that had upended their lives. Jeremy and Emma stood outside the courthouse, the weight of their respective battles finally lifting. How do you feel? Emma asked. Jeremy thought for a moment. Free. It's strange, but I feel like I can finally breathe again. Emma nodded. Same here. It's like closing a chapter one never thought I'd have to write. They shared a quiet moment of understanding. The beginnings of a friendship forged in the fire of betrayal and resilience were nearing the end of this intense story. What do you think of the characters' choices so far? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more gripping stories like this one. Your support makes all the difference. The final stretch of this harrowing journey began with an unexpected twist. Jeremy, feeling a sense of closure after the divorce hearing, received a call that reignited the drama. It was from Detective Harris, the private investigator Emma had hired earlier in her case against Sam. Jeremy, Harris began, his voice serious, I came across something you need to see. It's about Mia and Sam. Jeremy sighed, feeling drained from the months of chaos. What now? Harris explained that while closing Emma's investigation, he uncovered emails between Sam and Mia discussing a planned move. They weren't just having an affair. They had been scheming to leave their marriages entirely and start fresh in another city. But when their plans fell apart due to the public exposure, they turned on each other, each accusing the other of betrayal. The revelation sent a jolt through Jeremy. So this wasn't just a mistake or a fling. They were planning an escape. That's right, Harris confirmed. And Mia's been trying to cover her tracks ever since. It's all in the emails. I'll send them over. The emails painted a disturbing picture. Mia had been the one pushing for a clean break from Jeremy, while Sam hesitated, worried about the fallout. The messages were filled with venomous accusations, especially after Emma discovered the affair and confronted him. Mia called Sam a coward. Sam called Mia manipulative. Jeremy felt an odd sense of relief reading their correspondence. They deserve each other, he muttered. Still, the discovery left him wondering how he had missed the signs. Mia's late nights, her increasing secrecy, and even the subtle changes in her demeanor all pointed to something more significant than a mere lapse in judgment. Meanwhile, Emma had her own confrontation brewing. During a custody handoff, Sam attempted to play the victim. You're taking everything from me, he whined. The house, the kids. How am I supposed to start over? Emma, unfazed, replied. You should have thought about that before you started destroying what we had. You don't get to play the victim here, Sam. You made your bed, and now you have to lie in it. Their exchange was brief but cathartic. For the first time, Emma felt fully in control. She wasn't the naive, trusting wife anymore. She was a woman who had reclaimed her power. As the tension escalated, the most pivotal moment arrived during a community fundraiser event. Both couples were in attendance, albeit separately. It was an evening meant to celebrate local charities, but the room buzzed with whispers about the ongoing drama. Jeremy and Emma, having grown closer through their shared experiences, decided to attend together. Their presence turned heads, and the sight of them side by side sparked curiosity and speculation. Sam, clearly intoxicated, couldn't resist approaching them. Well, look at this, he slurred. The betrayed spouses, teaming up like some kind of superhero duo. Jeremy kept his cool, but Emma wasn't having it. Go home, Sam, she said firmly. You're making a fool of yourself. Sam sneered. Oh, I'm the fool? You're the one parading around with him like you're some kind of saint. Newsflash. Nobody's perfect, Emma. Before Jeremy could intervene, Emma shot back. You're right, Sam. Nobody's perfect. But some of us have the decency not to destroy the people who love us. The tension in the room was palpable as guests tried to pretend they weren't eavesdropping. Sam, realizing he was outmatched, retreated with a mumbled insult. Mia, who had been lurking nearby, approached Jeremy after the commotion. Jeremy, can we talk? She asked, her voice soft and pleading. No, Mia, Jeremy replied without hesitation. We're done. There's nothing left to say. Mia's face crumpled, but Jeremy walked away, leaving her to confront the mess she had made. The turning point for Jeremy and Emma came shortly after the event. They realized that while their marriages had ended in heartbreak, their shared experience had forged a connection neither of them expected. One evening, as they sat together discussing the latest developments, Jeremy asked, Have you thought about what's next? For you, I mean. Emma hesitated. Honestly, I'm not sure. I've been so focused on getting through the divorce and protecting my kids that I haven't had time to think about myself. Jeremy nodded. Same here. It's like you're just trying to survive, day by day. They sat in silence for a moment before Emma added. But maybe it's time to start thinking about what we want. Not just what we need to do to get by, but what makes us happy. Her words resonated with Jeremy. For so long, he had defined his life by his relationship with Mia, even as it crumbled. Now, he realized he had the opportunity to build something new, something better. The climax of their journey unfolded not in a dramatic confrontation but in a quiet moment of clarity. Jeremy and Emma, having supported each other through the worst of it, decided to take a chance on themselves and each other. Their friendship, built on mutual respect and shared resilience, began to blossom into something more. It wasn't rushed or forced. It was a natural progression, born out of understanding and trust. For the first time in a long time, Jeremy felt hopeful. And as he and Emma sat together, laughing over a shared memory, he realized that the pain of the past had led him to a place of new beginnings. As Jeremy and Emma moved closer to uncovering the full extent of Mia and Sam's betrayal, the stakes continued to climb. Tensions reached a boiling point when Emma received a call from her attorney with startling news. Sam had filed for full custody of their children. The audacity of the move left Emma stunned. "What grounds is he even claiming?" she asked, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. Her attorney explained that Sam's case relied on a fabricated narrative. He claimed Emma was unstable due to the emotional toll of the divorce and unable to provide a stable home for their children. It was a desperate attempt to regain control, and Emma wasn't about to let it go unchallenged. Meanwhile, Jeremy was dealing with his own bombshell. Harris, the private investigator, had uncovered another layer to Mia and Sam's scheme. It turned out that Sam had been funneling money into a hidden account, funds he had embezzled from the small business he co-owned with Emma. Mia had been helping him cover his tracks by using her position at the local bank to manipulate transaction records. When Harris presented the evidence to Jeremy, he was livid. "This isn't just about an affair anymore," he said. "They've been sabotaging lives in every way imaginable." Armed with the new information, Jeremy and Emma decided to confront Sam directly. They coordinated with Emma's attorney and law enforcement, ensuring the confrontation would be legal and secure. The scene was set at a mediation meeting scheduled as part of Sam and Emma's custody battle. Sam arrived confident, his lawyer by his side. He smirked at Emma, clearly underestimating her resolve. But as soon as the meeting began, Emma's attorney laid out the evidence. Emails, bank statements, and transaction records were presented, each piece painting a damning picture of Sam and Mia's deceit. The room fell silent as the weight of the accusations sank in. Sam's smirk vanished. "This is ridiculous," he stammered, but the proof was irrefutable. "And just so we're clear," Emma said, her voice steady and firm, "this isn't just about the money. You used our children as pawns in your twisted game. That ends now." The mediator, visibly shocked by the revelations, paused the meeting to consult with legal authorities. Within minutes, law enforcement officers entered the room and escorted Sam out for questioning regarding the embezzlement charges. The fallout from the confrontation was swift and far-reaching. News of Sam's arrest spread quickly, and Mia, fearing she would be implicated, went into damage control mode. She tried to contact Jeremy, leaving him tearful voicemails begging for forgiveness. "Jeremy, I made a mistake," she pleaded. "I didn't know it would go this far. Please, let me explain." But Jeremy had no interest in hearing her excuses. He blocked her number and focused on supporting Emma through the custody proceedings. Emma, despite the chaos, found herself growing stronger. The custody battle, while emotionally draining, became a turning point for her. She refused to let Sam's betrayal define her or dictate her future. Jeremy, too, experienced a transformation. The betrayal he had endured forced him to reevaluate his priorities and rediscover his sense of self-worth. He realized that while Mia's actions had shattered their marriage, they didn't have to destroy his future. Together, Jeremy and Emma became each other's support system, their bond deepening as they navigated the fallout of their respective betrayals. They spent countless evenings discussing their plans, their fears, and their hopes for the future. The climax of their journey came at the final custody hearing. Emma, bolstered by the support of her attorney, Jeremy, and the mountain of evidence against Sam, made a compelling case for retaining full custody of her children. The judge, moved by her resilience and dedication as a mother, ruled in her favor. As the gavel struck, Emma felt a wave of relief wash over her. It was over. She had won not just custody of her children but also a sense of closure. Jeremy, who had been sitting in the back of the courtroom, met her gaze and gave her a reassuring nod. They both knew this was a victory not just for Emma but for the life she was rebuilding. After the hearing, Emma and Jeremy celebrated with a quiet dinner. They reflected on how far they had come and the lessons they had learned along the way. "You know," Emma said, raising her glass, "I never thought I'd find any kind of silver lining in all of this, but I'm grateful. For you, for the strength I didn't know I had, and for a fresh start." Jeremy smiled. "Here's to fresh starts," he said, clinking his glass against hers, "and to never settling for less than we deserve." To my viewers, the climax of this incredible journey is finally here. What are your thoughts on Emma and Jeremy's story? Did it unfold the way you expected? Or were there surprises that caught you off guard? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing from you. And hey, if you've been enjoying these stories, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for being here. The chaos of the custody battle, Sam's arrest, and Mia's desperate attempts at reconciliation finally began to settle, leaving a trail of broken trust but also opportunities for new beginnings. Emma and Jeremy, once victims of betrayal, found themselves on a path of healing and transformation. The fallout for Sam was severe. After his arrest, the evidence of his embezzlement proved overwhelming. He accepted a plea deal to avoid a lengthy trial, but the consequences were significant. He lost his business, faced substantial fines, and was sentenced to 2 years of probation with mandatory community service. For Emma, it was vindication, not just for the financial betrayal, but for his underhanded attempts to manipulate their children's custody. Mia, on the other hand, tried to maintain her dignity amid the wreckage of her actions. With her relationship with Sam now public knowledge, she faced judgment from friends, family, and the community. While she avoided legal trouble, the damage to her personal life was undeniable. Jeremy, resolute in his decision, finalized their divorce swiftly and with little interaction. He left her behind without a second thought, focusing entirely on his future. For Emma, winning full custody of her children marked the beginning of a new chapter. Though the journey had been emotionally grueling, it reaffirmed her strength as a mother and as an individual. With the custody battle behind her, she could now focus on rebuilding a stable, loving environment for her kids. Jeremy, too, began to see his life transform. With Mia out of the picture, he no longer felt shackled by the weight of mistrust. He threw himself into his work, taking on new opportunities and rediscovering his passion for architecture. His designs began to reflect his personal growth, structures that symbolized resilience, creativity, and hope. But it wasn't just their individual journeys that saw transformation. The bond between Jeremy and Emma grew stronger. They started meeting more regularly, first to discuss legal strategies and later just to unwind from the whirlwind of events. Over time, their shared experiences evolved into something deeper, a connection neither of them had anticipated. One evening, as they sat on Emma's back porch watching her kids play in the yard, Jeremy turned to her with a smile. "You know," he said, "I didn't think anything good could come from this mess. But meeting you, well, it feels like the universe knew what it was doing." Emma laughed softly. "I never thought I'd be grateful for a cheating husband," she replied. "But here we are." Over the following months, Jeremy and Emma's friendship blossomed into a relationship. They took things slow, cautious of their past wounds and determined not to repeat old mistakes. But with each passing day, they found themselves drawn closer together, their shared values and mutual respect forming the foundation of something real and lasting. Emma's children adored Jeremy, and he quickly became a trusted figure in their lives. The transition wasn't without its challenges. Blending a new relationship into an already complex family dynamic required patience and understanding. But Jeremy approached it with a level of care and commitment that reassured both Emma and her kids. As for Mia, she eventually faded into the background of Jeremy's life. Her attempts to rekindle their relationship were met with silence, and she soon realized there was no path forward. Sam, too, faced the consequences of his actions, isolated from both his former family and the community he had betrayed. The pair who had once wreaked havoc on Emma and Jeremy's lives were now left to deal with their own fallout. For Emma and Jeremy, the future looked brighter than ever. Together, they found joy in the small things: movie nights with the kids, weekend hikes, and quiet moments spent simply enjoying each other's company. Their relationship, built on trust and mutual respect, became a testament to their resilience. The story culminated in a moment of triumph and hope. 1 year after the custody battle, Jeremy and Emma hosted a small gathering at her home, a celebration of new beginnings. Friends and family gathered to witness their declaration of love and commitment to one another. It wasn't a grand event, but it didn't need to be. The simplicity and sincerity of the occasion spoke volumes about the journey they had shared. As they exchanged vows under the warm glow of string lights in Emma's backyard, her daughter whispered to her younger brother, "I think Mom finally found her happy ending." To my amazing viewers. And there you have it, the story of betrayal, resilience, and love. Emma and Jeremy's journey wasn't easy, but it shows us that even in the darkest times, there's a path to healing and happiness. What did you think of their story? Did you find the resolution satisfying? Let me know in the comments below. If the story resonated with you, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with someone who might need a little inspiration today. And hey, if you're new here, now's the perfect time to subscribe to my channel for more incredible stories of triumph and transformation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.